Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about how gases are exchanged inside of your lungs in the respiratory system. If you remember our last video, we talked about the different parts of the respiratory system. We talked about how air goes in through the nose into the nasal cavity. It gathers moisture and is filtered. Then it goes down through the pharynx, past the epiglottis, into the trachea or the windpipe. Then it goes down the windpipe to the bronchus or the bronchi tubes, which split off into the two different lungs. From the bronchi tubes, it goes into the bronchioles, which are smaller little tubes, which then lead to the alveoli, which are little basically gas pockets or little pockets that hold gases inside of the lungs. We also talked about how the diaphragm and the intercostal muscles pull the ribs out and pull the lungs down in order to allow air or in order to pull air into the lungs through the nose. And we also talked about how then those muscles relax and therefore push on the lungs and push air out of the lungs into the one pipe and then back out the nose. Today we're going to talk about how the gases, once the gases get into the alveoli, the little gas pockets inside the lungs, we're going to talk about how they actually get exchanged into the blood. So basically, this is a real short video, guys. This is it, guys. This is it. Basically, the air comes down the bronchial tubes. So this is a bronchial tube. And at the end of each bronchial tube, there is a set of alveoli. They are the little air sacs at the end of the bronchial tubes. Okay. And over here, they show you a blown up version. So again, here's the bronchial tube. This is the little air sac or the alveoli. And now, guys, the deoxygenated blood from the heart comes through the pulmonary artery. We talked about that in the circulatory system. It branches down into these pulmonary arterioles, okay, these tiny little arteries. So the deoxygenated blood comes into the tiny little arteries, okay, and then it comes down here into the capillaries, and the capillaries are connected to this alveoli. Okay? So basically, deoxygenated blood comes in through the pulmonary artery into smaller arteries and down into the capillaries, which are attached to these sacs, these alveoli. Then the carbon dioxide, if you look down here, travels through the capillaries and through the alveoli and goes into the alveoli. Okay? That process is called diffusion. So basically, from inside these capillaries, you have the blood. The blood contains the plasma. Remember, the plasma contains the carbon dioxide from all the cells, the waste. That travels through the capillaries and through this alveoli and goes into the alveoli, and the carbon dioxide is then deposited inside this air sac. Then when you breathe out, it's pushed back up through the bronchioles and up through the windpipe and out the nose. Okay. Now, when you breathe in oxygenated air, it comes through the windpipe, through the bronchioles, into the bronchioles, and down here into the alveoli. And now you have oxygenated air in here. That oxygenated air travels through the wall of the alveoli and or the alveolus into the capillary, and then it gets deposited into the red blood cell. And then it travels through these itty bitty little veins back to the pulmonary vein and goes back to your heart. That's basically how gas is exchanged. Gases are exchanged. Carbon dioxide travels from the plasma in the blood in these capillaries out here through the capillary and into the air sac, and then it gets pushed out. And then oxygen travels through the air sac into the capillary and then into the red blood cells, and then it travels back to the heart and gets pushed through the rest of the body. So in a nutshell, this is basically what I just said. Deoxygenated blood comes from the heart through the pulmonary artery, and then it travels into smaller arteries called arterioles. Okay? And this blood contains carbon dioxide, okay, that's been brought to the lungs from the body. Then that deoxygenated blood goes through the pulmonary arterioles to the capillaries that surround the alveoli sacs. That carbon dioxide travels from the plasma through the capillary wall into the alveoli sac. Okay? That process is called diffusion. Then the oxygen that's in that alveoli sac travels through the sac into the capillary and into the red blood cells, okay? Again through diffusion. That oxygenated blood then goes from those capillaries up through the pulmonary vein, or venules, tiny little pulmonary veins, and then back to the main big pulmonary vein where it gets taken back to your heart. And then that oxygenated blood gets pumped throughout your body, goes and gathers more carbon dioxide from throughout your body, travels back up through, and the whole process starts over again.